What's up, Internet? It's your boy Cliff the Shadowcaster here with another episode of the Animated Gamers Podcast, where anime and game nerds collide. Thanks for joining us. This week, we're talking about what makes a game good. So we're going to go over some of the things that we like in video games. But before we get into that, I'm joined by my two good friends and co-hosts. First up, we have...
What's up, Internet? Foxtail here.
And rounding out the cast as always.
Ronnie G, the medicine man.
What you guys been up to?
Not much, man. This week's kind of been lazy, just working and Monster Hunter, of course. But other than that, man, not much. Watched some. I forgot the fucking name of the shit. Invincible. Watched some Invincible yesterday. Watched the first episode. That was pretty dope, man. So I'm gonna start watching some more.
And y'all late on that one.
It's super late.
I'm on time.
Yeah, I wonder who told y'all about that.
Yeah, I found on my own.
Mm-hmm.
Saying that joke forever now. Yeah, I gotta stop taking this shit for granted. But yeah, definitely gonna watch some more, man. But like other than that, just chilling. Not much, dude.
You said that Monster Hunter 2 got some new characters in there, some new monsters to hunt down.
Yeah, I see you guys be playing that. I see you guys in the chat.
Yeah, that DLC, bro. Like they finally unlocked the fucking hunter rank, bro. That shit's so dope, bro. Just so now, like when you do hunt, you get to actually see progression in your rank, like leveling up somewhat, instead of just being stopped at hunter rank 7 and then just doing quests and then you're still at hunter rank 7, basically not leveling up. So it had like no motivation for me. Like at that point, once you grabbed your armor and you grab the sword you need, it's like there's no motivation.
I think the number jumped up way too high from 7. Now you can go up to what, 30? What's the highest cap?
I think it's like 99, 999. I think
that's crazy.
Yeah. So imagine that, doing all of these freaking quests just to get up to 999. Before we got off earlier, I don't know if you've seen, blowing the lobby was 64.
Yeah. And it's the same handful of quests. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, so after a point, you're just doing the same quest over and over again, unless they just start dropping out new monsters. But for some reason, it hooks me into it. So like, I'm all for it just to get my hunter rank all the way up. So I'm probably just be working on that.
Well, I hope it's not as bad as Destiny. How are you, Ron?
I've been chilling, man. Just falling back. Started watching some Invincible. Found that John on my own. Anybody tell me about that, John? That John is fire, son. I ain't going front. You like 3 for 3. You like 3 for 3, Cliff. I ain't going front. But I just been watching. I've been binging it the last couple of days. I'm probably gonna want to finish that today just because I can't help myself. It's that good. Yeah, I ain't been doing much, man. I haven't been playing too many video games. You know, got the Elite controller right now. I got a drift on it, so every game is unplayable. I just get stalled out sometimes when I'm trying to run. It's so annoying because then it's not even the fact that it does that. It's actually the fact that the other person thinks that they're good that really bothers me. That's the part that's getting to me. Because like if we're playing Dead by Daylight and the killer catches me when I'm looping them, just all because I couldn't dash. It's kind of annoying and frustrating. Same thing if I play Siege. Someone kills me all because I couldn't run. Super frustrating.
Like, I'm at 20% right now. You don't even know what I could do.
Yeah, you don't even know what I could do. Right, yeah. I'm only at 20% of my powers. And the crazy thing is, I was like top fragging on Siege Sunday, just top fragging, and my controller wasn't even working. And I was just saying, like, man, this is not even fair.
Just please sign me. At that point, you're just like, just sign me.
Yeah, just sign me. Somebody give me a job. Somebody sign me to a Siege team. Jesus, that's crazy. I was literally top fragging without the controller. But other than that, man, I've just been chilling, man. Just trying to catch up on some of the Invincible, man. I'm gonna have to watch some more of that.
Yeah, it's dope. I've been reading it again. I was on a podcast with We Get Dubs a couple days ago. We talked about the finale and the rest of the season. What we think's going to happen in seasons 2 and 3, because it's already been confirmed they're going to do those things. I'm not going to say anything, but I'm rereading it, and they're going to have to change a lot because it gets super real. And if you watch that finale, this is like...
I ain't watching yet.
This is like Nickelodeon compared to what's coming up. I'm excited. I picked up a bunch.
I'm sorry to cut you off. That's actually one thing I loved about it. When I loaded up the cartoon style, I was expecting to be like real kiddie, and when they started saying "fuck shit," I was like, "Hold up!"
Oh yeah, it gets real. It gets real.
I was like, "Wait a minute!" And I instantly I was sucked in. Like the first episode, the ending of the first.
Yeah,
episode,
you didn't expect that.
I did not expect that.
So the thing is, in the comics too, that didn't happen until like issue 5 or 6.
Right.
So I was like, they going from the rip.
Like, I was telling Ron yesterday, like if they were to fight Superman, that's exactly what would happen if the Justice League tried to fight Superman. Whatever, how that episode played out, that's exactly what would happen to the Justice League if they fought Superman.
Y'all could try, but listen,
Right.
I'm a win.
So I'm enjoying it, and I don't say that too much. But good. What you been up to, Cliff?
Picked up some comics. We went down to a couple comic book shops. So my objective right now is to get to finish up a couple of runs that I have. So Killer Be Killed is something that was written by Ed Brubaker a few years ago. I have 11 of the 20, so might as well finish that up. Clone is another, comic I'm trying to finish up, and then Invincible. It's the prices have skyrocketed, but I have a couple of like volumes, I guess, spread out. And one of the ones I'm looking for now is with Conquest, who's a character who I love, my favorite character in all of Invincible. I have to find his little 6-issue run because that's going to be super sought after once that comes up. And I finally got a long box too for my comics. So I have nice. I'm so into the comic collecting now. So I'm cataloging everything over the next few weeks because I have a shit ton of comics to go through. But that's my journey, and I'm going to be logging that stuff on Twitter too. So go over there, make sure you follow us on Twitter to see which comics I have because I got some fire. I'm about to start. Listen, I got some fire.
Let me know if there's some comics that you want you can't find. I got a comic book shop down here. I could always scoop in there, pop in, and see if they got it.
Look at that, my boy. All right, sounds good. Let's get into the topic at hand. So, what makes a game good? We've been gaming for, I would say, about 30 years of my life. So we pretty much know what makes a game good and bad. And of course, everything we say here is subjective. But what are some qualities you guys look for in video games that keep you engaged and keep you playing for, months or years?
For me, it's like a story. Like, it can't be too complex, but it has to be good. For instance, like Final Fantasy 14, the game is like really good, but the story is like so complex that it has me skipping through the cutscenes just to get into the game. It's just I don't really understand what's going on, and I don't have that much time to invest and like read everything. So like I skip cutscenes, but that doesn't like necessarily mean the game is bad, because I think you guys probably do the same too and just skip through the cutscenes. But like a good story. An example would be Last of Us. It has like a really simple story. Gameplay is great. Controls are good. And then like another thing for me would be like voice acting. I can't stand when a game has like bad voice acting, or if like their facial features don't match what they're supposed to be acting. Like Ron Faces says with Mass Effect Andromedas. Look, the world's coming to an end, but like you're laughing. Like that bothers me so much, bro.
I haven't played it since.
Like he swears he hates that shit solely on that, but like I get it. It's like those are like big features in the game. You're spending like $60 on it. Like you want those features to be like realistic. And probably my most important thing is how does this game impact you? Like how much does it make a lasting memory on you? Like back in the day, Mega Man X like had a huge impact on me that I went and bought it on the PS4 for the remake. I don't care what nobody says. That's like one of my favorite games of all time. And then another one is Kingdom Hearts. So like that, like playing part 1 and to see where it's at now and how much of like a lasting memory that game has made on me just makes that game good for me.
My boy said skip cutscenes. I kind of zoned out when you said that. That's like heresy right there.
Yeah. So you watched cutscenes for 14?
Yeah. Oh, for 14, no. 14, no.
Okay.
But that's a little different. But I feel you.
That's what I mean, though. Like when it's like complex like that for like an MMORPG, like I don't really care about the story. It's just like I'm there to play.
Right.
But like Devil May Cry or Last of Us or Kingdom Hearts, like I won't skip those cutscenes because number one, like you understand what's going on from the jump. There's no complex stories. Like Final Fantasy 13 also with like lightning in it. That shit was so complex, bro. I don't think anybody knew what was going on.
Yeah, I was just actually about to say that the best example I could ever give somebody about a good game with a, I don't know, story, or I'm just going to say terrible story, was Final Fantasy 13. And literally, they, Square Enix themselves said that they made a mistake by putting the story behind, behind in the menus. You basically had to read the story, and they wanted to put the gameplay at the forefront, which was really, really good and really, really fun, but terrible mistake on their part by doing that, because I just know that we was going against some evil, because stereotypical Final Fantasy adventure, which I'm cool with, but it was just like, okay, Falsey, what's going on? And that always will be like a blunder on their part, because that's one of the more forgettable Final Fantasies to me because of that, because I have no idea what the hell was going on with the story. And I beat it twice.
Another game that had like drawn out cutscenes, Metal Gear Solid 1 and Metal Gear Solid 2, they had like real dragged out cutscenes. Like they were like basically you're watching like a news channel. That shit lasted so long, it was kind of annoying. And then like if we're going on examples of like good games, but kind of not bad stories, but kind of awkward. Lost Odyssey. A lot of that was done through reading, so a lot of people don't know what happened in the story. But if you read it, it makes sense, and that game was really good in my opinion.
I'm
But
talking
I
about a
could
game
see,
that hides a story. Destiny hides the damn story.
yep, you
Excellent
hide.
game. It feels, the controls are great. The guns are great when it works. We talked about this earlier in Kowsey's stream because they're about to bring back the original raid from Destiny 1 to try to get people back into the game because they constantly fumble the game. Like, they hide the story. You have to read it up. You literally have to, like, get their app and, like, unlock the stuff and, like, read it in the codex. It's so stupid. But,
Yeah, that is.
Destiny
Why would
just
I do
hides their
that?
game.
Yeah, that's
That's why I stopped playing it because I told you all, like, y'all know you got me to download it one time, and I just couldn't even find a starting point. Like, where's the main mission? Like, where do I go to? It's like there was no starting point for me.
right, right. I mean, then I would think about games who have like really good controls, but and the story's decent, but I don't think they're like really great games. And like Time Shift was one of those games for me where the controls is great, the running and jumping and all that, all the fancy stuff you do in the FPS, sci-fi FPS was really really great, but then the story was non-existent, and the multiplayer aspect of stuff. So it was like it was fun for the moment, but then it wasn't fun. So then, and people ask me to buy, like, "Oh, what do you think about this game?" I tell them, "Don't get it, don't get it, don't get it." So I don't think that just controls also help too much, like gameplay wise. Like if that makes sense, like a game has really good gameplay, but still isn't a great game.
Yeah, I
You know,
think you have to have a certain amount of elements because I'm thinking about story now. Some of my favorite games, the story is barely there, like Sonic 2. I could always pick it up and have a great time for hours. I could play Tetris, which is there's no story behind that. I mean, there's going to be a movie eventually. They're going to make a story for it, but I could play
Bro,
that for hours.
that'd be so good.
It's going to be amazing, actually. I can't wait to see it. But yeah, I mean, games like that have a great aesthetic. It looks good. The music is amazing. That's a really charming game because of the music and the controls, and it's. I mean, there's some nostalgia in there too, but I think
yeah.
there's about 5 or 6 different components that we could try to pick out which ones they are. But I think as long as they have 2 or 3 of these components, it can make a pretty compelling game. You
What
know.
would you say those components are? What would you think they are?
Well, definitely story.
I would say fun. Like
Yeah,
fun is
that
my
fun
top
factor.
priority. Yeah,
Hmm.
fun factor is my top priority. What else would you throw on that?
Music or any type of sound, so that could be voice acting and music. I know some games like Sonic, there's no voice acting, but the music is amazing.
music is fire. Mega Man
Uh,
X1 had fire music too.
Hmm.
Sigma's Castle, bro.
Hmm.
That shit fire, bro.
Hmm.
yeah,
Controls is
a lot
definitely
of
one.
Sonic music you remember and you know what level it is by just hearing the music.
Of
That's
Mhm.
course. I mean, my ringtones.
That nostalgia that hit in the movie where they played the theme song for Green Hills at the
Yes.
end, bro. Stop playing with me, bro.
And the ringtone, I know you've heard it on stream before. You're like, yeah, I know exactly what stage that is on Sonic 2. Like, it
Right.
just pulls back to that. But yeah, controls, story, and I guess we could find another component.
And I love that none of us mentioned graphics like or cinematics because I think like
Maybe style. I could say that, or look. We'll say
style. Okay. So now we're on to like Jet Set Radio. Like
or like so. I guess there's 2 minds of that. So when you say graphics, I could think that it might not be the best looking game or the most modern looking game, but it still has a style and flair, and the look and aesthetic is nice.
Yeah,
It might not want to be the next Metal Gear Solid or the next which game is like super
Might be
beautiful.
might
right.
be
So
like
then
so.
It might not want to be hyper realistic. It might want to be in this like Persona. They're not
Yeah,
trying to
I'm about to
look.
say that.
They're not trying to look
Persona.
realistic, but it looks great.
right, and I agree with that. I mean, like for instance, MMOs suffer from this. Like so, World of Warcraft is considered one of the best games of all time just by sheer numbers of people that play it. But every time you look at it, it's like or
Those are
even
like
Final
PS1,
Fantasy.
PS2 graphics.
Yeah, exactly. And you're like, like it's underwhelming. But then people will argue, the story is great. I don't know the story too well, so I can't vouch for it. So the story is supposed to be fantastic. The controls, people swear by them, stuff like that. But but if but it doesn't have great graphics. So then I don't think a game needs great graphics. Like I don't
There's a
I,
bunch
I
of indie games that don't have really good graphics that are like great.
I think Lost Odyssey is one of those games. I think at the time when it came out, it looked good, but I feel like you could pick up Lost Odyssey and play it at any moment, and then just enjoy it for the gameplay and the story itself. Than actually like Final Fantasy X. Final Fantasy X. We all. You said what?
Yeah, you're right. Final Fantasy X. I booted up the other day on the Switch, and like I had no issues with it, like no complaints from it.
Right, and then the only component that was missing was the acting. The voice acting was
I was thinking the same thing.
was absolutely terrible. But you could pick that game up and play it, just and enjoy the game for what it is. So I agree that graphics are non-essential to being fun, and Nintendo has proved that over 10 times over, like with the Switch and with the Wii. Like, come on now.
Mario looked the same since, 95.
Right. And Mario's story hasn't changed either. Save the Princess. And Mario's story from Nintendo wasn't even a story. Has Mario even had voice acting yet? Besides, wahoo! Like, has anybody said anything in the last 30 years? Has anybody said anything?
Mamma Mia? I mean...
Yeah, right. No one said anything in 30 years. And it's the most beloved game in the world. And I think that's the best aspect of like games in general. Like what I know, and we all yet again it's subjective, so it's always that grinding question to me: what makes like what game is a good game? And like if somebody came to you and said, "Yo, give me 5 games, like your island games. Like what is 5 games you would take to the island?"
Let's do that right now. I mean, and also I want to tag on to because Nintendo is like. Will always be successful, like forever. They're in a class of their own. We talk about it all the time. It's that fun factor in the controls. You can play from 8 to 80. You could pick up a controller and you could have fun. And like you said, the characters are there. They're colorful, vibrant. That style, it looks good, even though it's not the most up to date. Like I said, like a Last of Us, it looks great. So, but what are your 5 island games? We could pick some right now, or maybe a top 3, because 5 I can't even think of 5 right now.
So before we jump into the island game real quick and give us some time to think, like we got story, controls, voice acting, fun factor, and I guess you could throw character development in there. If you had to rank them in order, what's most important to you?
Fun factor for me. If I had to put one thing at the top, it would be fun factor, and then after that I'd put controls, because Mass Effect 1 was really, really good, but then after you played Mass Effect 2 and 3, you would never go back to
Listen, I'm struggling to like think about playing Mass Effect 1 once it comes out again, like
But I mean, they're supposed to be
because that's the hardest one. That's the hardest one to get back into.
But yeah, like fun factor, obviously to me, story, and then third would be controls. Because like if I had to give an example of a good game right now, but then with horrible remotes, if you go back and play Resident Evil 1 remastered, the controls are so freaking janky, bro. But like the game is good and the story is good, but it would literally not make you want to play because the remote is just the controls are just
the
bad.
turn animations are iconic.
That block move was, I mean, even though we know that was the style back in the day, that block move is so atrocious. Like, cause they literally move like they're on like a block, and it's super annoying because especially when you're trying to do precision. But so yeah, I agree with that. Like controls can definitely ruin the game. I mean, controls didn't ruin for us back then, but if you was like thrown into a fucking room and had to play that, you'd be like pissed off. You'd be like, so
nowadays it's probably top for me.
But you'd be mad as hell.
Yeah, I play it, but I'd be super frustrated. Like, no, back up. No.
Why can't I pan the camera?
You'd be really frustrated. And you know what? I'm glad you said it, because camera view is actually super underrated too. Because
if the game don't got a camera,
we take it for granted now.
It's hard.
But at that time, at like Nintendo 64, where they were just trying to figure out 3D cameras, that and
oh my God,
I guess
you
PS1.
Donkey Kong. You ever played Donkey Kong on the 64? The camera was one of the biggest issues in the game, and it was a platformer, so trying to like jump sometimes, and the camera would swing in the middle of your jumping, would mess you all the way up. Oh my God!
That whole generation, they were trying to figure it out too, and they were also trying to figure out which buttons and controls to use. Because I remember on some 64 games, you would use the C stick or the buttons, the C buttons to move the camera. And Mario other ones would be like the shoulder button. So you would be on the same console and have different camera control schemes. But finally, we have something that's universal. There's some games that, some of the cameras are a little too loose or a little too tight nowadays. But by and large, I'm glad the standardized model of games is like, across the board now. Controls is probably top of the list for me, I would say.
Right, and that's a quality of life thing that you wouldn't even pay it. Like you won't realize until you don't have it. That's what the camera is.
Mm-hmm.
Quality of life.
one like sleeper quality for me will probably fall in the remote controls would be like a targeting system. Let me target my enemy, please. Please. Like that's one thing I asked in Monster
Like
Hunter.
a lock on?
Let me lock on system. Let me lock on to this monster, please.
And then the toggling too. If I'm locked on, how do I toggle my either different parts of the body or different enemies? Like is it through the thumbstick, the right thumbstick? Will it also control the camera? Are there shoulder buttons? Like it really does make or break a game, really.
Yeah, anytime a game has a targeting system, I like when that lets me use the L1 and R1 to cycle through.
Yeah.
No, I like it when it lets me push the analog stick, the right analog.
See?
Just push the toggle enemies. I like that.
I do like games that allow accessibility too, so you can have those different options. Because there may be a game like Gears where that system works best for Ron, but not the best for Dave, you know, and me too. So I do like accessibility, and they're making it easier. I think controls are so important. At least for me, it's like top of the list, I would say, because I could play a game that looks like shit and the music is kind of weird, but if it controls well, there's nothing worse than having a game and you're trying to do something and it doesn't respond.
Yeah, that is.
I mean, you would know for sure, Rod, right? What's going on right now?
Yeah, it's drift from this controller. Oh my god.
You're like, is it me? Is it
right? The fact that it does it when it wants to do it, it's even more frustrating. Because if it was like it was something that you knew, like let's say you did a sequence of movements on your analog and you knew it worked when you did it and knew it didn't work if you didn't do it, then it's like okay, you could sit here and say like, oh yeah, the controller's broken, but that was me, that I didn't flick it left and right first, right? But the fact that it does it like on its own whenever it wants is even more frustrating, because it's like it's supposed to work a certain way and it doesn't, and then it just makes everybody feel like they're nice and they not.
So, let me add on to that though. So you say fun factor, and I was waiting for this to come up. Multiplayer games, are you really having fun? Not just you in particular, but like I think about multiplayer games. Is it really fun at that point? Like if you go in that deep end, now you could be someone like me. I would think I'm more so. Even Dave, I think you're even further on the end of someone who doesn't get bothered by online games. But like I could imagine and see when you stream and other people stream, is it really fun at that point? Like.
Right. So I think it's half competitive and I think it's half ego. And I say that because it's like, all right, on one hand, I know I'm nice as shit, right? Like I know I'm nice and this game isn't going to what we're losing or whatever, because my teammates not keeping up, or maybe I'm just performing bad. Like it's one of those things. So then that's like it's the ego. And then you have the things like basically you can't control, like the other team. Maybe they're good or maybe they're doing stuff bad. It's making you have a good time. So I actually probably wouldn't take like a multiplayer game on my island, because I probably want to like just fucking hanging myself on a palm tree.
You gonna throw the whole console in the ocean?
Your head into a coconut and shit.
So those games are kind of like not even viewed the same, I would say.
Right, yeah, and exactly because it's kind of like what I say about Dead by Daylight all the time. Like your fun is literally contingent upon how's this killer going to be, right?
Yeah, but
or how's your teammates going to be. Like your fun factor is contingent upon that, and it's not because of a win, lose, or draw kind of situation. It's literally on is this going like well enough where you can say like, yeah, we lost, but it was a fair game, or yeah, we lost, but hey, at least remember that funny thing that happened. Maybe I looped them for 90 seconds. Like the same thing goes in multiplayer. Like yeah, like the game was designed for you to lose, right? Like I equivalent everything to like trading. Like I'm not supposed to win every time, but I want to win more than I lose, right? So. But how did that loser go? Like, there's games where you can lose. You go, yeah, you know what? If we'd have did this differently, if I'd have grabbed the grenades, if I'd have got the rocket launcher, there's so many things you could say. Like, then we would have won. But then it's those games where it's like you should have won because you did everything right, and somehow you found a way to lose. It's super frustrating. And so I really always say I think your fun factor is determined by the other team, and that's why I don't think strictly multiplayer games can ever be considered like great games because of that. Like they could be unique. They could be slightly fun or whatever, but I don't think they should ever be put into like this is a really good game category. Like I feel like it should always be isolated. This is a good shooter. This is a good MMO.
Okay, I was just about to ask like what other things add on to that fun factor. What keeps you into the game? Like because the story oftentimes with shooters is non-existent. I know with Call of Duty, most people just jump into multiplayer and say fuck the story. The controls, I know at least for most shooters, the controls are 100% are ace. Yeah. Like that. Yeah, that's like above most games. I would say for sure those and racing car games or simulator games are some of the best controls.
There's different, like I guess, categories of multiplayer. Yeah, you get your
right.
When you say multiplayer, a lot of people think like
competitive shooting.
Shooters. But then what about Final Fantasy 14? What about No Man's Sky? What about stuff like, things like that? That's also considered multiplayer. So I could definitely see how somebody would say like it's a good game, but you're also spending time with your friends as you're playing a good game. But then
Right.
on
So
I
that
can
is
definitely say some games are
category.
more leaning towards one of the five, I guess, or six spokes that we're talking about here. That fun factor versus controls versus, because community, like you said, is a huge branch, I think, as well. I wouldn't play nearly as much DBD if you guys didn't play, or I'd play
and
a lot
I
more
was just about
killer.
to say that. I was just about to say that. So then that's why I'm saying that I don't think that in the argument of good games, then they should be put in there, because are you really having fun with the game, or are you having fun that you're hanging out with your boys?
So we're gonna put
And
DBD in a gray area. If we put a post up online, is DBD a good game? We're
Let's
just gonna
do
say
it.
like it's
That's a-
great.
That's a gray area. It is a gray area because it is super contingent on your teammates, the killer. So then,
In them damn pallets.
yeah, in the palace, like it's contingent upon so many things. So, for instance, for somebody who plays it, just four stacking all the time, their group of guys or girls, whatever, they load up the game every night to play, in their four stack, they probably have a good time, right? They probably have a crazy good time. They're sitting there, talking and drinking or just shooting the shit, and they're probably having a great time. And they're not even caring to play it, not even competitively, but they have no intention of winning. Then so it's like they have fun, but somebody who's like, and we're not being super competitive. We just want the game to work right. Like we play together, but we're really playing to have fun with each other and not necessarily the game. And I feel the same way even about like shooters. Like most of the time you get on, so, because you want to play something competitively. And yeah, it might be fun to win. It might be fun to do so, but at the same time, it's super contingent upon so many other things that you could have no fun for 10 games straight and finally have fun that one time. So I don't think those games should be thrown into
You're sitting there
game
stumping
category.
face for 10 games, bro.
10 games, bro.
Time to turn this shit
Straight
off
face.
at that point.
Yeah, straight face. 10 games, straight face. You're not having any fun. And then let's say, your boys get on, we get on. You go, okay, now we're about to have some fun.
Right. Well, you know me, Call of Duty. If it's like 4 or 5, rough games in a row, it's time to look
You gotta
somewhere
turn it
else.
off. Exactly. So the game wasn't fun, but hanging out with your friends was fun. So I don't think those games should be thrown into that. I think they all should be in their own category. I definitely think it's a gray area because it's contingent upon too many things.
Mm-hmm.
Like Mario, like you could load up Mario and have a good time doing backflips just because he's Mario.
Yeah,
right?
anytime, at any
Yeah,
point.
And so I think, and that in itself has substance where it might not be a super good story, but there's a plot, and there's a goal, there's a place that you have to go, there's things you have to do, there's objectives you have to, complete. And with multiplayer games, it's not really no objective besides win or lose, really.
Yeah. So you guys have some time to think about some of the games you would say in your top 3 to 5 island games that like kind of hit some of those markers for you. If not all the markers, at least 2 or 3 of them.
I would say Mega Man X1, X1 and X2. I like those games.
Okay, so we got Mega Man.
I like Last of Us Part 1. Devil May Cry 3.
Ooh, that's
Kingdom Hearts and Metal Gear 1. Metal Gear Solid 1. No, Metal Gear Solid 3, I'm sorry.
Snake Eater, okay.
Yeah, Snake Eater.
What about you, Ron?
It's kind of tough because like I'm a huge shooter fan, and I honestly wouldn't take.
Yeah, let us say you don't like fun. That's Ron always say you don't like fun.
I am not taking Siege to my island. It's not happening. It's not happening. Be mad all the time, but can't even tell nobody because you're on your island by yourself. If I honestly had to just pick, I don't know if I have like a 5, but I definitely would say Pokemon for sure. I'm taking Pokemon. That's for sure. I think Pokemon. If you really dumb it down to even all the categories we gave, that we did mention it, I feel like it hits all the check marks. The music is obviously legendary. We know the music when we hear it. The gameplay is tight. There's not really much you can do with the controls to fuck it up. It's the same system. It does have a story. Doesn't have any voice acting, at least yet. But I could sit there and probably play Pokemon for like 400 hours and not even really care. If I throw another one out there, that's not only is it fun, but nostalgia is Final Fantasy X. That's like one of my favorite games of all time, and I could dump hours to that. Yet again, the acting is bad, but it hits all the other check marks, and this yet again longevity would be a factor living on the island. I would throw Animal Crossing out there. Animal Crossing is solid, no voice acting basically, unless you got Nook singing a song, but it's super solid. Like you could honestly pick it up, play it, don't even know what you're doing, and enjoy so much of that game and not even touch the surface. So that's probably, if I had to take 3 games, that'd probably be my 3 island games. And it's crazy because Nintendo sound like the master race.
Yeah, you can play all those on Nintendo. Okay, so I'll see. It's a lot of sequels here. So definitely Kingdom Hearts 2. I could play that multiple times. The music is great. The story. That's when things start to get super complicated. But it's enough for you to still kind of, mostly understand Kingdom Hearts 2. That's when it spins off to all the mobile games and handheld games where it gets super complicated. Fallout 3 is amazing. I love that game.
I can see that.
Yeah, the music there. I still listen to the music. It's still in my Spotify playlist always.
Oh, I just remember the game.
Speaking of which, Persona 5, I'm still playing through Royale. I played the vanilla game 1.5 times. I'm almost completely through the Royale. I'm going to probably play it again. That's a great game. I said Sonic 2. That's a classic. I could pick it up at any moment. My current cell phone and my phones before that, I've had a Sonic ringtone since I was like able to have cell phones, except for that and Metal Gear Solid, the codex. I use that too. And then any Streets of Rage game. It's always fun. Or Street Fighter. Let me put some respect on that. Street Fighter. Always have a good time with Street Fighter. Always pick it up. Always do work with that. Super solid game. It works well. The characters are iconic. It always looks good, depending on which iteration you're talking about. But for the most part, it's a great franchise and great games.
If I had to throw one more game into the ring, and it's definitely a tie, but either GTA 4 or a Vice City. That's always on my island list too. Obviously, Vice City right now wouldn't look that great, but please remake that. Please remake that.
Gotta get lost in the yayo, man.
Right. But I definitely put more hours than I even can remember into Vice City, and GTA 4 is like one of my top 10 favorite games of all time.
4 over San Andreas. I'll fix it. But you're right.
The story of Niko Bellic is one of the best GTAs out there, and a lot of people actually didn't complete that one, but that's one of the best ones. That story with Niko Bellic. The graphics is great. That was when they first introduced the new controls with the car graphics. Everyone used to hate at first, and now everyone loves them. Yeah, I definitely would take that on the island with me too. There were so many things in the game even after I put like 120 hours into that I still didn't do.
You know what too? I think every game that you guys mentioned, I've also played and enjoyed those games. So
right. So then yet again, I think there is a criteria for what makes a game great, because everyone seems to enjoy these games with these things in it, controls, gameplay, the fun factor, because all these games are fun. We all could pick these games up right now and
replay them. I was just thinking about, like I said, just the replay value.
Yeah, replay value. I mean, I always say New Game Plus is one of the things that games is not utilized today. That's one game. That's one. What's that like? What would that be?
Devil May Cry and Bayonetta are 2 of the best games to do New Game Plus.
Dark Souls. I didn't even mention Dark Souls.
Mm-hmm. Y'all got that one.
Yeah, Dark Souls. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'll take them to the island with me, only because I might like find a shark or something and want to get them. That joint would have you angry at everybody. But yet again, great controls. The story, there is a story there, even though there's not too much like being told to you, but there's a lot of stuff you got to read. But the story is really, really good. Man, and yet again, so they all hit that. It all hit that check mark. Dark Souls hit that check mark too. Yeah, so I mean, there's so many games that we could dunk on that don't have these things, and that's probably why they're not good games, because they just don't hit these clauses. Like, notice I didn't say Gears or like Halo or those things like that. And even though I think Halo is really, really fun, and the story controls are good, but I think there's only but so much replay value.
And I think some of the newer games kind of marred that too, as well. I think if you think about Halo 2, Halo 1, do you think that those games have a lot of those qualities, and you think some of the more recent games kind of spoiled that for you, or what's your feelings on that?
Right, so I mean, it's hard to say if, like, is it nostalgia, like, of us remembering it, and playing split screen on Halo, which made it so great. Yet again, so that goes into the compartment of, like, did you really have fun playing Halo, or did you really have fun playing Halo with your friends? And
right.
So I think in the beginning it's probably playing the game, but then
because it was new,
as time goes on, it's more like being with your friends, especially in this COVID time right now, where you can't like physically be around people, or shouldn't physically be around people. that the games are still a way to keep us all intact and whatnot with each other.
Right, but I mean, obviously we didn't code back then, but yeah. So I think about this a lot. Like, would Halo be like that much fun if it didn't have multiplayer and it just stood on its own two legs with just the story mode? And I don't think so. I think it would be super forgettable. I think it would be really forgettable, and not because the story wasn't great, because it is. If you really pay attention to the Halo world, it's a really, really good story.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't dive too deep into it. I read a couple of comics and stuff like that. I watched like 1 or 2 of the anime movies, and the story is actually really, really good. If they probably would have just made it into like an anime of some sort, it'd probably be really talked about. But since the game came out first, no one's probably really gonna give it a chance. But I don't think it could have just stood on its own too at like for what it is. Like Mass Effect 2 is another game that I think is really, really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
I could throw into the ring as an island game too. Like they fixed the controls from the first one. The story was amazing. The story was that Shadow Broker stuff was my favorite part about the game. The leveling system, all that, everything was great about it. So that's another island game. And you can sit there and look at Halo that didn't have what Mass Effect had, and the Mass Effect doesn't have like the same controls as Halo did, because Halo just runs way more smooth. Even though Mass Effect runs really, really good, Mass Effect 2 that is, ran really good and really, really smooth. But Halo is just unbeatable when it comes to that aspect. You can pick up Halo and just feel like you're Master Chief.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I wrestle with that question all the time. Like, is this game fun, or is it just fun because I'm playing with my friends?
Yeah, I think it's hard to separate the two, because like you said, some things are nostalgia as well, and then it's really hard to separate where you're getting your fun from.
When I play Siege, like, and I have done it, like I played Siege alone, like ranked or unranked, whatever. But I'm less likely to play Siege, like if nobody's online playing it. Just like I'm less likely to play Dead by Daylight if you guys aren't on playing it. So is it really fun?
Yeah, that's why I haven't played Gears for a long time.
Right, because Dave quit. But yeah, so that's one of the reasons. And yet again, that's another game that we played all the time. But then once I guess the fun factor got out of it when we stopped playing it.
Well, the controls, that's what it was. The fucking gun don't work all the time. All right.
Most annoying sounding game in history.
Yeah, so
still got spawn protection. Bullshit.
So the check marks have been what? Controls, story, voice acting, music. I definitely think music is underrated in video games. I don't think graphics really matter too much, because I think Pokemon is one of the greatest games in history, but it doesn't have great graphics.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think about card games in the mix? A la Yu-Gi-Oh.
Oh, card games? Oh.
I don't think you can, because they're all the same, honestly, besides just adding new cards. But I mean, it's fun. It's definitely fun, but
right, yeah, I don't think
it would make it a
Yeah, I get the community aspect. That's why I play Magic. I mean, that's where I get it from, the fun from that. But because there's no real story. I mean, there are comic books and stuff for it, but come on now, the Planeswalkers. Do you really know the whole lore behind the Planeswalkers? No, I don't think so.
Right, and so I exactly. I don't think it's hitting all the check marks. So I really do,
yeah,
I don't think it hits the great game category.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we cracked the code on what makes a great game.
Or at least video games, at least.
Yeah.
At least video games.
Mm-hmm.
I think we should get a score. We should get a scoring system for that. But other than that, man, I mean, I don't know, man. Island game. Imagine you get to the island and go, oh shit, I forgot Mass Effect 2.
Yeah, yeah. Mass Effect 2 is definitely in KOTOR. I mentioned those. Spider-Man 2. There's so many amazing, and I could go back and play those games. I have. I need to get some of the old consoles back. Make me think about that shit. Need one of the TVs with the big back.
Yeah, the box TVs. Those heavy as shit too.
Yeah, man, I've been having an itch to like play Yu-Gi-Oh, but I can't find it unless I buy an old PlayStation and buy
Switch, Nintendo Switch.
They have the older ones on there. Then I'll be interested to play.
Not the older ones, but they got. Nah,
you trying to play Duelist of the Rose? That's what you trying to play.
I know.
I want to play that one. I don't like all that synchronizing stuff, man.
Well, you gotta get with the times, bro. You gotta evolve.
Yeah,
evolve as a duelist, bro. You gotta evolve as a duelist.
Third-rate
exactly
duelist.
Why I'm playing them, Jones. Exactly why I'm playing them, Jones. They're like, I just summoned 13 monsters. What?
Yeah, they can have that. I'm gonna stick with Magic because it's a lot more reasonable.
I lost and the game just started. What?
That's happened to me on that.
I feel you. Nah, I feel you.
do something like 3 monsters. The round just started. I said,
Things just
what?
moving. Things just
And
moving.
then we
Like,
doing
okay.
some unnecessary shit. Like, yo, just end the game, bro. Why you gotta do all this?
Yeah. AKA Brian. He used to have.
Damn.
I ain't
On
fucking
that
with
note-
them. I ain't
on
fucking
that
with
note-
them. Yo, on that
Oh,
note.
no. Where you at, Brian? Yo, I remember he had that deck, man, that would send stuff to the grave and bring it back. Oh,
No, it would have sent it to the grave. It would have sent it back to the deck, come back out, go back into the fucking deck, come back out, go back in, 3 more come out, bro.
Yeah,
Oh
when you
my
would send them to the
God.
graveyard, they would go to the deck instead, right? And they could spin. Yeah.
Anyways, bro.
Yeah, that's it for this week. Make sure you check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and join the Discord too. It's always popping there. And check out the streams too throughout the course of the week. And we'll catch you all next time. Take care.